Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from Sad and Lonely, who says, "Am I the a-hole for cancelling a trip and refusing to pay my friend back for flights? I'm currently on a semester abroad in Italy until Easter from the UK. My friend Polly wanted to come and visit at the end of next month. We've been talking about this trip and planning dates for ages, and she still hadn't booked anything, which is obviously fine. However, in the meantime, I had been having some mental health issues and family drama and would like to go home to my parents around the same time she is supposed to visit. It is the only time that my family will be free when flights are affordable for me to go home. 3 days ago, I sent Polly a long message explaining the situation and that I was sorry I would not be able to host her at the time we had planned for her to visit. She had still not booked anything at the time, but immediately seemed a bit defensive and sent me a message saying, 'This is the only time I will be free to visit you. Can I come on specific dates? I can book flights today. Is that okay?' I immediately, within 30 minutes, replied saying, 'No, I'm sorry, as I explained, I would now like to go home. At the time, we'd been planning the visit, and in any case, the first 2 days of your trip aren't what we discussed, and I've always been unable to host you at that time due to specific commitments. Normally I would say to book 2 days later, but as I said, I really need to prioritize my mental health and go home at that time if possible.' She didn't respond again until the next day and told me that she had already booked flights before checking whether I'd replied and that she was expecting me to host her on the dates she had outlined. To be honest, I was quite shocked by this and told her I couldn't host her then and that she should have checked my response to her questions before booking the flights. She is now very angry and insisting that I should pay her back for the cost of her flights, around £100, which is a lot for either of us. But I told her that this shouldn't be my responsibility, as she should have double checked with me before spending the money. I later offered to refund half as a peace offering, but she said this wasn't anywhere near good enough. Polly told our mutual friends the situation, and they are all saying I'm the a-hole and should pay her back in full, as she and her family apparently have no money. I'm devastated to have lost this friendship on top of everything else going on in my life, and I'm really confused about whether I'm in the wrong. So, am I the a-hole for cancelling this trip and refusing to refund my friend for her flight tickets?" And for me, I think this one's a pretty simple one in that she hadn't booked her tickets up until the point that you said you ain't going to be able to host her anymore. And then when you did tell her, she suddenly books those tickets, attempting to force you to host her. And don't get me wrong, you can be disappointed that you're not going to be going on that trip, because who wouldn't want to go to Italy and see a friend and have a good time and all that kind of thing. But if a friend came up to me and said, I need to go to my family because my mental health is not in a good place right now, I'd be like, yeah, I haven't booked the tickets. Absolutely. You go do you. Please be safe. I know money's tight, but maybe I can come visit you where you are. May even give her a little boost at the same time. And you said you got mutual friends telling you that you're the a-hole in this situation. And whenever we get this, mutual friends jumping in, I always wonder what they've been told at the same time. So I'd be looking into that as well. Have they got the full story? But in the comments, EM_doo-wop says, to sum up, you have been planning and planning, and all that time she didn't book tickets. You sent her a message saying you couldn't host, and then she did book tickets. Not the a-hole. Retract the offer to refund half and clarify the actual situation with your friends. Johnny Fake Name says, definitely not the a-hole. She asked, you answered, and she went ahead and acted without knowing the answer. You don't owe her a thing, but you did learn that she was not much of a friend to begin with. Don't be too devastated. I guarantee the story she gave your mutual friends was to the effect that you told her to book the flight and then reneged. If they knew your side, they wouldn't be saying you're the a-hole. Next comment says, not the a-hole and don't refund her anything. I grew up poor. I didn't have £100, so I wouldn't spend it to travel. She was clearly guilt-tripping you to stay for free at your house and now claiming to be poor so you refund her. Your circumstances changed, but she didn't care, which shows she wasn't your friend to start. Tell your friends the truth and don't allow a user to upset you. Your mental well-being is more important. Orel T says, sorry, but Polly is not your friend and is currently trying to scam you. I don't know how the rest of the relationship is, but cutting out fake friends from your life is probably the best thing you can do for your mental health. You didn't lose anything. Not the a-hole, obviously. And one more comment from Natural Garbage, who says not the a-hole. She hadn't booked anything. You did the right thing and let her know not to. She then booked immediately to try and force you to host her because she doesn't care about what you need. She cares about her holiday. Do you know why she wants you to pay for her flights? So she can go on a holiday at your expense. If she has so little money at the moment that she can't afford not to be reimbursed for the flights, then how was she going to afford anything in Italy? The answer is that she was expecting to turn up and have you pay for everything after feeding you some story of poor Polly. Send your friends a message. I'm not paying for flights that I told Polly not to purchase. I feel like she's extorting me by only booking after I told her not to. Why would she wait so long and then book within hours of me saying no, except to try and force me to host her? Money is tight for me too at the moment. I know she was looking forward to the holiday, but my mental health and family comes first. I was unaware of her financial trouble, and I'm now wondering how she was going to afford food and events here, even if she was staying with me. I understand that she has just spent a lot of money on tickets, but I specifically told her not to do that. I told her not to. She then asked for dates and that I didn't agree to in the first place and asked if that was okay, and then didn't actually check that was okay before she booked. That sounds like manipulation to me. So then OP updates the post and says, people were kind to me in the comments that I wanted to give an update on this. To the people who said Polly was lying about booking the flight because it seemed suspiciously cheap / she could have cancelled within 24 hours. She booked on a cheap UK airline and this is fairly standard pricing. Plus their cancellation / refund policies are what you'd expect from an airline where they charge you extra just to sit next to a person you booked with. She's many things but not a total liar. She definitely booked after I told her not to. After everything blew up with Polly, we didn't speak for a couple of weeks. I talked it over with my parents and they said that I was under absolutely no obligation to pay her a penny, which I agree with, as did all of this sub. However, they did suggest that I could offer to pay a small amount, like 20% of the fare, in the interest of salvaging the friendship. I like this idea as I was still feeling so heartbroken and didn't want to throw away 10 plus years of friendship if avoidable. So I sent her a message explaining that I didn't feel like I owed her any money for a mistake, but that I really cared about her and our friendship, and that I would be willing to make a small contribution if it meant that we could meet on happier terms in the future and resume our friendship. Well, she had left me on red for over a month. She did eventually reply to tell me that I should still pay the full fare, claiming she was seconds away from booking when I originally spoke to her, and then messaged me a reminder of this a few days later. The second day was my birthday and she sent me no well wishes along with it. Just a reminder that she wanted money. I'd finally been pushed over the edge. I was absolutely raging and told her it was unacceptable to message me crap like this on my birthday. That was the last time we spoke and now I've blocked her on everything. It also turns out she didn't tell as many of our mutual friends as I thought. One of them is no longer speaking to me. I've tried to reach out but she's ignoring me. So I'm leaving it because who needs people like that? Another pair had heard the story and said they wanted to remain neutral, which makes me think they didn't hear the whole truth. But I can't be bothered to push it as they are still cool with me and don't really care about the Polly drama. I'm feeling great now. Things are going well with my family and I am really enjoying my last few months of semester abroad. I've made some good friends and having the best time. I wish all the drama had never happened, but I'm grateful to have seen the true colours of someone I would have continued to trust otherwise. Thanks for all the support on here. And I really like that comment that pointed out what would she have done when she did get to Italy because she was struggling to come up with that £100. What about food, travel, excursions, anything like that? And one thing that really annoyed me in this, and I'm not sure if it's just me on this one, but I still want to know what them friends think. The neutral friends in this, regardless if they want to remain neutral or not, I'd still want to know their side of the story because it would really bother me if they've been told a lie and they're looking at me in a certain way because of a lie that they've been told. And it probably wouldn't end well either because if they looked at it in another way, if they're backing up Polly knowing the real truth here, then what the hell are they thinking? I don't know, maybe that's just me being petty in this situation, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts. What would you do in it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account and says, "Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin I didn't care about his stupid figurine after he destroyed my book? I write as a hobby since I was little. It started as a way to cope with many problems in my life, and I kept doing it because I liked it. I have a cousin, Carl, 26 male, who loves figurines since he was a child. I never particularly cared about those kind of things, but since we were children, we lived close to each other. We always played together, and he often showed me his figurines, explaining how he got them, from what show, film, anime, whatever they are from, etc, etc. I never cared about it, but I saw that being able to talk about his passion with someone else made him happy, so I always tried to pay close attention and to fake interest. His passion for figurines is still alive today. The garage in his home is basically filled with figurines, and he even bought a 3D printer to print some gadget or figurine he wanted bigger. Now, while I was in college, I had barely any time to write, but I started spending more time into it once I was close to my graduation and resumed writing consistently the book I had started when I was 20. I began to talk to Carl about the story I was writing, and he initially seemed interested, then completely lost interest, so I stopped mentioning it to him. Yesterday, I completed my book and decided to print a physical copy myself, hardcover, paid someone to draw the cover. It looked exactly like a book you could find in a library. It was my treasure, a proof that I achieved something. I brought it to my family house where a bunch of my relatives from both sides of the family were staying. They were all enthusiastic about the book, about me completing it after struggling with it for years, and even began to ask if I had any intention to bring it to an editor to publish it officially. Evidently, Carl got upset because everybody was talking about a book he didn't care about, so he suddenly took the book, said he was sick of hearing us talk about it, and threw it out the window. It was raining outside and the book landed in a puddle. I rushed to pick it up, but it was completely ruined. I snapped. I began to yell at him and told him the truth, that for years I'd spent hours listening about his stupid figurines I didn't care about, and that he was such an a-hole for his actions. I told him I hope this whole collection gets destroyed in a fire. Today, his parents came to me and refunded me money for the book and apologized for his behavior. Now, I'm calm and collected, though I realize I may have overreacted. He cared about having someone to talk about his figurine, and I was happy seeing him happy when he talked about them. Am I the a-hole? Whenever we listen to these stories, I try to picture the situation and try to picture that household with all the family stood around, you with your book, everyone discussing it, and then suddenly he comes out of nowhere, grabs the book and just freaking yeets it out the window into the rain. It's like 26 years old, and this jealousy that's building up inside him causes him to do that. I just think, wow. And his parents had to turn up to pay for what he did. And just to add, OP did confirm this was a copy of the book. It's still on their PC, etc. But it's still not the point, is it? Speaking of that, it just had Blackadder pop into my head. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Blackadder, where they destroyed the dictionary and threw it in the fire. Anyway, Dreaming says, not the a-hole. Carl's irrational jealousy over your success is something he needs to work on. Next comment says, not the a-hole. We're perfectly fine with petty around here. It beats listening to abusers try to justify themselves. Anyway, with regards to the actual situation, it's understandable that Carl was jealous. It must have been frustrating for him to watch all of your relatives fawning over you when only one of them, you, ever took the time to listen to his passions. What is not understandable nor acceptable is him taking your book and throwing it in a puddle. It doesn't matter if you made the book yourself or not. That's abhorrent. With consideration that you did write it yourself and even went so far as to commission a cover for it, that just makes everything in order of magnitude worse. Frankly, the only thing you could have done that would have even made this everyone sucks, much less for anyone to call you the a-hole, is if you went and destroyed his collection as revenge. The response was well deserved at worst. I want a secret garden says not the a-hole. Had to reread this. This man is 26 years old and he threw a little tantrum and made his parents clean up his mess. Please hold out for him to actually offer some reparations and apology, but avoid him as needed. In other news, I've heard Kindle Vella authors can make some money posting original stories. Since you've finished your book, you could look into that if traditional publishing isn't your route. Solitary by Design says not the a-hole. At his age, he should not be acting like an 8-year-old when someone else is getting attention. His parents' actions are telling. They enable his behavior and ensure he never has to take responsibility for his actions. He's a grown man. He should not have acted out in that manner, and since he did, he should have apologized and paid you. You were understandably upset and snapped at him. You had a reason to be upset. His actions were based on jealousy. So first, OP edited the post the same day and said he just called and apologized. Said he has an idea on how to make amends and will do it in the next few days. Don't know if I should be scared, happy, or something else. OP then updates. So a month has passed and things solved itself, so I thought an update was needed. Carl came to my house 1 week ago. He apologized and brought gifts. A new physical copy of my book. Now this needs an explanation. Except for me, the only person who has a digital copy of my book is my older sister, Federica. Federica is a no bullcrap kind of person. If the chance of me forgiving Carl were 1 out of 10, the chance of my sister doing the same things were 1 out of 1,000. When he told me he convinced my sister to give him a copy to reprint it, I was astonished. A full collection of figurines of the main cast of my story. There are 5 main characters in the story and only 2 of them were on the cover I printed, which means that he read the book and drew/had someone else drew a sketch of the other 3 characters in order to make their figurines. They're 25 centimeters tall and I admit they look really good. He paid me back for the physical copy he destroyed. I asked him why he was giving me the money since he had just given me a new copy and his parents had already paid me. He said that the new copy was in place of the one he destroyed, while the money was an apology. He apologized for what he did that day and explained to me his reasons. A mix of jealousy and bad timing. Things are still not completely fine, but they are better. He thanked me for bearing his hobby all these years. I apologized for losing my temper and insulting his hobby. While I don't share his passions over figurines, I can understand how much and love he put in every one of them. He looked sincere in his apology and we parted amicably. I decided to give back to his parents the money they originally gave me as an apology. I spent a couple of hours choosing what to do with the 5 figurines he gave me. For now, I put the 2 original on my desk and the other 3 on the top shelf of my library. I have to admit, having figurines made about my own book is really cool, and I spent a lot of time looking at them in the past week. I want to thank you all for your support on the original post. Bye. And then OP supplies a little bit of a summary on their book, which says it would take me hours to explain everything, but I will try to give a small summary. The story focuses on the last days of a kingdom. The only witness who knew what happened to the kingdom is walking in its ruins, and she acts as a narrator. She briefly introduced the country, narrating the history of its creation and expansion. Then the focus shifts on the last few years of the country, characterized by a cold war against the empire. The war has been going on for years, but the kingdom and the empire have reached a stall. The stall is broken when a new emperor rises to the throne and the kingdom is forced to defend against an unstoppable force. It's a fantasy, so magic is a thing, but it works in a different way than you normally see in most fantasies. As it's closer to science and chemical reaction than it is to the I will transform my thought into reality kind of magic. I tried to keep the summary as generic as possible, but this is more or less it. And the update still left me wondering what's going on in Carl's life. People get jealous, people have bad reactions sometimes, but to do that in front of a group of people, it just still really stands out to me. Maybe that's unfair to say, but I'm glad that he did come up to you, he was genuinely apologetic and made these figures for you, which sounds like a wonderful thing. Of course, there's still going to be a bit of tension. I think if anyone did that to me, I would always be side-eyeing them for at least a little while, you know. But to receive a genuine apology for this, to go to the lengths he went to have the book remade, make these figurines, which is no small task in itself, I think it shows genuine remorse there. But I really do hope the best for their relationship in the future. As I said, I think it'd be all tetchy for a little while at least. And of course, I'm not condoning Carl's behavior or anything like that, but if there is, and I'm not sure if there is, something going on in Carl's life, I do hope whatever it is improves as well. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, as always, because I love to hear them. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support and time always means the absolute world to me. And don't forget, at the end of the video, there'll be a couple of playlists there for you that will scroll through all the stories automatically for you, because whatever you're up to is, you want to be clicking all the time, right? I know why I'm going off here. Anyway, thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the window.